Hi, Mark Robertson back with you here on Mark Robertson Talks. And we are hot in the middle of an election season. The election is not far away, and we're hearing a bunch of propaganda. And much of it is from, of course, the left and even the Catholic left. They say, hey, you can vote for pro abortion Joe Biden because he's good on other issues. And other issues like what? Immigration, poverty, so called climate change, and other nonsense like this, and they equate these with abortion. They say they're on the same level. That's known as the seamless garment approach that was started a number of decades ago by Cardinal Joseph Bernardine, who basically said that abortion is just one of many issues that should be concerned about, and that they're basically on the same level as abortion, which is insane. All it was, this guy was a far left radical cardinal, a disaster for the Catholic Church, and he just basically wanted to give Catholics excuse to vote Democrat. It's the same situation with their crazy cardinal there today, Supich. And so it's a disaster, and it's a lie. Abortion is not on the same level. The Democrat Party is the party of death. Abortion is their sacrament. And Joe Biden is virulently pro-abortion. He claims to be a Catholic. He should be excommunicated from the Catholic Church. He also favors so-called same-sex marriage. It's an abomination, and a Catholic cannot vote for Joe Biden, period, and be a practicing true Catholic. And like I say, but the left claims that abortion is basically the same as other issues. But you've got the two parties. You've got the Republican Party and the Democrat Party. They say, well, yes, the Republican Party is better on abortion, but they don't care about the poor or the immigrants or the issue of immigration overall. And of course, climate change. They deny that. Well, what a bunch of nonsense on all counts. First of all, the Democrat welfare state has been a disaster. It was started in the mid-60s largely by Lyndon Johnson, although FDR brought about it as well in the 1930s with a number of programs. But basically, the war on poverty, it did start in the 1960s. It's been a catastrophe. It has largely wrecked the African American family and turned our inner cities into chaos. It essentially paid women more to have babies if the father didn't stick around. And that has been a recipe for disaster. And it continues, and there's so much denial. They say, well, the problem in the inner cities is guns. It's not guns, it's dysfunction in the family. And the Democrats don't care. They want to keep the African Americans down. They don't care about the chaos or the bloodshed as long as they get the votes of the African Americans for their pittance of welfare that they give them. It's just as evil as can be. It's ridiculous. It's all pre-planned. They want to keep them trapped on this new plantation, the welfare plantation, and it's really a disaster. So to argue that Democrats have better policies on the poor is just ridiculous. Republicans, yes, they're not perfect, but they overall believe the best way to help the poor is by having a strong economy. As Ronald Reagan said, the best anti-poverty program is a job. And it brings dignity. Of course, it brings much needed money and financial resources. But a job answers many problems with the situation of poverty. And a strong economy is actually how you solve poverty. But the dirty little secret is the Democrats really don't want to solve the poverty problem. They want to actually expand it, as their programs have done. The war on poverty actually expanded poverty. It's grown poverty, and it's by design because they want to trap all these people into voting Democrat. These people, their designs are evil, and they're simply, in many cases, just evil people, and they actually don't care about people. The communists don't care about people. It's all about their sheer raw power, and they don't even know why they want that. That's all they know. They really don't know how to be much of a success in this world. They just have to have political power. That's all they know. That's all they want. That's all they care about. The ends justifies the means. I think that's what it is. And so then that's who these people are. And so these poverty programs, they don't help the poor. So that's not even an argument anyway. It's not an argument that the Democrats have better policies for the poor. And of course, the Republicans also believe in private charity, which worked so well on so many ways before the welfare state entered in the 30s. They had all these associations that would help people with health care, with families, and so many other ways, poverty. And it was just, it was taught self-reliance and responsibility. They just didn't send a check from Washington, which is a disaster. And so the Democrat Party has basically wrecked the private system that was so successful. And it has done that on purpose, actually, because it doesn't want success. It doesn't want to solve problems. Solving problems means you won't need them. It's just ridiculous. And to say that the Democrats have better policies for the poor is just simply a lie. And then there's immigration, another lie. They say, well, the Republicans are mean because they want to turn people away at the borders. There is nothing in Catholic teaching, there is nothing in the Bible that says a country has to open its borders to anyone who wants to come into the country. Now, we all have sympathy for these people. They want a better life. 90% plus of them come here for a better life. Yes, there are bad elements that come here for bad reasons, but most of them come here, a vast majority of them come here for a better life for themselves and their families. And it's a tough situation for them. But it's not cruel to close borders. We are a country. And the answer is to get these other despotic countries to get their acts together, get a free market going, get a strong economy going, so these people can stay there and prosper and live comfortably. They don't have to travel thousands of miles to try to get to this country for some opportunity. It's crazy. The problem is these countries that they're coming from. It's not the United States. The United States is a great country. Yes, there are problems, and most of the problems in this country are caused by the left, the evil of abortion and things like that, and crime and all this other chaos that goes on in our society. But to get back mainly to the point, this immigration, we want people to be happy, but the answer is to get these other countries to get their acts together so people won't want to flee here. So they want to risk their lives. It's dangerous for these people. And these countries in South America, Central America, and Mexico, they're largely run by a very least socialist and most of the time totalitarians in some form or another. They just ruin countries like they have Venezuela. Venezuela used to be one of the most prosperous countries on earth. And now these Stalinist socialists have run it into the ground, and it's essentially a hellhole now that people are trying to escape from. So it's all about policy, and they need the free market policies. But you get these despots in charge who have no clue what they're doing. They're evil people, and they don't care about the people. They only care about is their shallow little demands and desires for power. That's all they're all about. And like I say, the key for immigration is to get these countries to get their acts together. And then we talk about, again, on the abortion issue. They say, well, the Democrats go, the way to solve abortion is to increase contraception and all this other stuff. So we can vote for Democrats because they really want to reduce abortions. After all, a famous Democrat once said, we want abortion to be safe, legal, and rare, which is the biggest lie ever by a liar in chief. His name was Bill Clinton, who said that. What a joke. They want abortion on demand all 9 months. And as we see in New York, Virginia, and other states, even after the child is born, if the abortion is so-called botched, if the child survives, but they want to be able to still kill the child after the child is born. So abortion in this country is out of control. It's a sacrament of the left. And it's basically an answer to them for their the sexual revolution, free love, free sex all the time. And, if we have a pregnancy, well, we can just take care of that, run down to the nearest abortion mill. That's what it's all about. They don't like to be told how to run their lives, and they definitely don't like to be told by a Bible or some church how to run their lives. They want to have their free sex and free love all the time, and it's a disaster. It always brings harm. It's a disaster for society. Obviously, it's a disaster for the child killed in the womb, and even a disaster for a child. All this rampant sex, these children grow up in single-parent households and things like this, and that's a problem as well in our inner cities. The lack and the diminished morals of so many come to our society. They learn through the media and through the churches becoming weaker and not really teaching right and wrong based on the Bible. It's all watered down. So our society has basically become a weak society. And boy, the despots jump in on that. They want people weak. They're easier to control that way. And if they get them perverted, that's their goal. They're to control if they are under the influence of sexual promiscuity. These people are much easier to control, and the despots of all ages knew this from all times. This is one of their motives, and this is part of it as well. There's so much going on below the surface. Yes, it's about abortion, but it's about so much more than that. It's about power, it's about control, and everything else. They talked earlier about they want to have contraception available. They say that will reduce abortions. Total lie. Increased access to contraception actually increases abortion. So many studies have pointed this out. It's just common sense. They are more active. They sexually active if there is more contraception available. And most women who go to get abortions are already on some form of contraception. So it's just another lie. They push contraception so they can increase abortions. So Planned Parenthood and all these other abortuaries can make more money off abortion. It's just there's lies on so many fronts. It's all lying. It's about money. It's about power. It has nothing to do with the people, the women, or anybody in society. That's one thing about the left. They don't care about people. It's all about them. It's all about manipulation and power. And there's so many, they come at this from so many angles. But it's really, when you boil it down, it's really very simple. Abortion is the taking of human life, period. That's all you have to know. And yes, and they'll come up and say, well, these complicated situations where babies are greatly deformed in the womb. Well over 95% of abortions are done for convenience. And simply that. I mean, yes, there are some rare instances of severe complications, but a lot of times abortions, they look at it as you have a Down syndrome child. Oh, well, we can abort that child. I mean, that's ridiculous. They're just as much a child as anyone else. And so there's so much lying going on and so much corruption in the abortion industry itself. And that's why they're pro-abortion. They get so much money from the abortion industry, Joe Biden and the rest of the Democrats, and they can't live without that blood money. That's very important to them. So they of course try to lie again, saying it's a women's health issue. It's about women's rights for their body. It's not. It's about campaign cash for them, so these abortuaries can make money by killing babies. They couldn't care less about women or women's rights or women's right to choose, as they say. So should a woman have a right to choose to kill her 1-year-old child in the house? No, it's ridiculous. And it's just, we got to this point in society. How the real problem is, how did we get to this point where a mother would even consider killing her child? It's propaganda over the many years. It's a new way for people to make money. So they come out, do this so we can get these abortion industries going and make this money. And then we get $500 million a year from the federal government. Planned Parenthood gets that. So it's follow the money, follow the agendas. And it's really so much more than voting for a pro-abortion candidate or a pro-life candidate. When you vote for a pro-life candidate, it's about getting rid of so much more evil and corruption in society. Yes, it's about saving the lives of young babies and not ruining the lives of their mothers, but it's about eliminating so much else. So, like I say, there's so much below the surface, and you cannot vote for Joe Biden if you're a pro-life, whether you're a Catholic or whatever religion or non-religion you are. You can't. It's not. There's no choice. And if you're a practicing Catholic, you can't vote for Joe Biden, period, because of his pro-abortion stances and his pro-same-sex marriage stances. It's not complicated. No matter how many people try to rationalize it, and no matter how many, even cardinals of the Catholic Church, I've seen one on TV, the clown from Newark, Tobin, says, he wouldn't even mention President Trump's name, but he says a Catholic can vote for Joe Biden. He's a liar and a fraud and an anti-Catholic, and he's a disgrace to the Catholic Church. No, a Catholic cannot vote for Joe Biden. A Catholic should be excommunicated for voting for Joe Biden, as a matter of fact, in my opinion, and because it's voting for evil. It's voting for abortion. And President Trump has been great on abortion and all the life issues. And whether it's the Little Sisters of the Poor or anything like that, it's amazing. President Trump, in many ways, is much more Catholic than Joe Biden ever dreamed of being. So basically, that's what we have to say today. The last session we had, we talked about teen sex and all the disasters that brings about. And I had some books that I failed to mention at the end of the talk. And basically, here they are. You're teaching my child what? A physician exposes the lies of sex education and how they harm your child. It's by Miriam Grossman, MD. And it's a very good book. All the horrors going on in sex education in our government schools. Like I say, it's kind of what we talked about today. There's a whole industry on so many fronts that wants to get kids and others sexually active. It's about money, power, and control from many ways, whether it's the leaders in society or just on a local level. Also, The Porn Generation by Ben Shapiro, outstanding as well. And it's about the left and how they want to use pornography and sexualize young kids and things like this, and how it's greatly harming our society. And there's also another one. I don't have the actual book, but it's Your Kids at Risk by Meg Meeker, How Teen Sex is Threatening Our Sons and Daughters. It's a very good book. Meg Meeker has a number of great books out there on a whole range of topics. Will often have to do with parenting, fathers, mothers, and things like this. Any of our books are highly recommended. But again, today, our topic has been the rationalization of voting for a pro-abortion candidate. Can't do it. There's nothing to rationalize. You're either pro-life or you're not. If you're pro-life, you can't vote for Joe Biden, period. Not complicated. You've got to vote for President Trump, who's got a great pro-life record. And to use the excuse that Joe Biden is good on the other issues, as we pointed out today, that's even almost a bigger lie. I mean, it's as big a lie as that. The Democrat Party on poverty, on welfare, and we didn't even mention the environment, what a total hoax global warming is, or climate change. They keep changing the name. As a matter of fact, the Earth hasn't warmed since 1996, so they had to change it to climate change to further advance that hoax. But it's all a lie. The Democrat Party is built on lies and basically death, and that's how they get moved forward. And so there's not a choice. It's not even a rational choice. I do know many, though, that are going to be voting for Joe Biden. I don't know where they're coming from. I don't know what they're thinking. I wish I could get through to them, but it doesn't seem that I'm able to, at least at this point. But the fact remains that you cannot be pro-life and vote for Joe Biden. President Trump is the only answer. So thank you for joining us today, and we will see you next time.